Is your voice memo recording?
Yeah, we're on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking Shit with Robin Goomes. Finally.
This is it. This is the podcast we talked about.
Everyone's been waiting for it. It's finally here. Maybe we should workshop the name though, because we've had some complaints about swearing.
I am Mons Royale. I am Wool. This is Robin Goomes, and we're spinning yarns.
Phew. All right, 2024 was a pretty massive year for you. Like, now that you've had time for it to sink in, can you tell me a little bit about the highlights of the last year?
There's been so many highlights. I guess. Well, it started off, highlight for me was actually going to film in Oregon for the Anthill segment. That was a massive highlight, such a fun trip and cool experience. Darkfest is always a highlight, one of my favorite times of the year. So these personal highlights, and then there's all the obvious ones Crankworks first ever women's slope style event in New Zealand, which was really sick too, and obviously getting to win that was massive. Followed by, I guess, an entire season of slope style. So we went to Cairns, Innsbruck, had a little crash. That was a low light, but there's always those. And then Rampage, big highlight, the biggest.
And what about getting Pinkbike Rider of the Year? Where does that stack in that whole, list of highlights?
That one's pretty random for me, to be honest. It's a privilege to be named that. Obviously, it's a really big deal. But I don't know how to say this without sounding ignorant. I guess I didn't even know that was an award. I didn't know it was a thing. So yeah, it's just nominated, and I was like, holy, I don't even know what this means really, but it's sick. It's an honor.
But isn't it of all mountain bikers, regardless of what they ride or how they ride and gender, you won the Rider of the Year? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, I believe that's what it is, and I also think it's a performance-based thing. So it's how well you've performed throughout the season in your discipline, sort of thing. It's kind of seems like it's more results based than just being a GC. So that's cool. I was up against some huge names, big performing athletes. So for me, it was kind of a cool bit of reflection on how sick my season has been.
What was the number one highlight, and why was it the number one highlight?
Rampage was for sure number one highlight, and just that whole experience is it's hard to explain. It was 2 weeks long, and it's just the whole experience. First of all, it's the first time any woman has have been out there and doing that. So it's doing all of these things for the first time ever, wrapping your head around it. And just that event itself is just such a crazy experience that just not many people get to do in general. So to be there and do that is it's just so hard to explain. It was full of highs and lows, and it was insanely challenging. And I think because it was so challenging is kind of the reason why the reward and finishing that whole thing and even winning it, whether I won or not, it would have been the most rewarding thing I've probably ever done. And then it's I don't know how to break down that process, but it's wild.
I guess it's maybe one of those things where it's so intense for so long, and there's so much anticipation that it's hard to even think about it when you're doing it. You're just going. Would that be an accurate reflection? You're just building and planning and doing, and you hardly ever have a chance to really think about it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool for that, I guess. You can't think about what you did yesterday or what you have to do tomorrow, or how many things you've got to build or test or competition. You just have to do the thing that's in front of you, which is normally just scooping up a bunch of dirt and moving it around. But you're just extremely involved, and it's a free ride marathon. You don't just turn up, hit some shit and compete and leave again. You're just in it for a long time. That 2 weeks felt like it could have been months, in the best way. It's just, yeah.
What about like the lowlights of the season? You mentioned you had an injury. Can you detail that a little bit and how you recovered from that?
Yeah, so I was in Canada, just kind of prepping for Joyride and was just like cruising a set of dirt jumps, like were in the build up, like maybe I think it was 2 weeks out from Joyride. Cruised a set of dirt jumps, just cased one, and it sent me like over the bars straight to my head. Um, I got knocked out and I was like pretty concussed. I dislocated my SC joint, like the front of my collarbone. I actually like chipped some bone off the other end too. So like shoulder was messed up, head was messed up. Yeah, I stayed there for a little bit and then was like, yeah, Joyride's probably off. So I came back to New Zealand, and just got straight back into like physio, got a bunch of like scans and things to see what was going on in my shoulder and just like rehab the brain and all of that good stuff. And then just it was kind of like unfortunate timing. Like I came out of that concussion like really good considering like it was gnarly for a good probably it was only like a week, but I was like just emotions were weird, like super confused and tired and just all of that concussion-y stuff. And then it just like got real good really quick, which was great. But just the timing, like being only 2 weeks out from Joyride. So I had to miss that. But um yeah, it was a good thing that that turned around and then I could start focusing on like getting the shoulder dialed for Rampage. And there was like just enough time to like build the strength back up. And it was like nice to be in New Zealand, full reset, like kind of had like really good routine and structure building up to Rampage, which yeah, it was like almost needed that full reset. So it was like, it was like a bad thing, but also a good thing.
Yeah, sick. Interesting. I mean, yeah, crazy how much actually, if you think about it, how much has happened in those 12 months from like massive highs to some lows and then being able to come back from that low. I mean, that's pretty unique, I'd say. Wanted to ask you about how excited you are about natural selection in NZ and what you think is different about this event compared to like Rampage or like a slopestyle.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for natural selection. There's like no event like it that I'm aware of. Like it's just a unique competition format. So it's gonna just be like fresh and exciting. The course looks insane. The course is gonna be cool. I've kind of described this to someone else. I was like, if you were to like pick that course and kind of like the format and everything, it would be like Rampage and Fest Series had a baby. Like it's Big Mountain Freeride plus Fest Series size jumps just like combined.
Yeah, sick. And do you know what's the format?
Yeah, so at this stage, it's a 2 run format, but it's not like standard 2 runs. There's 2 different lines on the hill, and you compete 1 run on each line. In a normal competition, if you crash, your run is over. So you like, we're like, oh, maybe this is going to mean that we do safe runs because we want to make it to the bottom of each run. But they're going to have the format or the judging so that if you have a crash, it'll be docked like minimal points. So if you crash on a feature, obviously that feature won't score, but you can get back on your bike at that feature, carry on your run. And if you do the rest of the run, you're only going to lose out that one feature rather than normally a crash. Like if you crash, you're done. Like there's no coming back from it. So it's kind of cool like that.
Yeah, sick. Sounds like kind of the right way as far as like judging riding like that. Do you have like a drive to win competitions, or for you is it more just a drive to ride the best that you can? Like how much of it, like, and be honest here, how much of it is it like you actually do want to win it?
Like for this comp or
Right,
just
any comp in general.
so the normal for me is I never put that expectation or pressure on to obviously I always want to win. Like winning is great. It's great for everybody. But I never set that as my goal. My goal is always to do the best riding I can, and whatever I kind of like set as the riding I want to achieve is what I work towards. And like win or lose, if I do that, I'm pretty happy. Going into Rampage was different though. Like I really wanted to win that one. And so like building up to that event, I was like manifesting that when I like did a bunch of stuff and was like, right, we're so focused on like, obviously I had to focus on my riding and like what it was going to take, but it was also like doing everything. Like it was like, to get the win, what do I need to do? And then it was like all of these steps of things. If I do this, I should get there. So it was like wanting the win meant like I was gonna take all of these little steps, and I was like, if I take all of these steps, I'll be on. And so I just kind of trusted that process. But yeah, normally it's just like ride, have fun, and do the best I can.
Yeah, sick. And do you have like, I mean, someone that's coaching you or helping you with that kind of stuff, or like who's helped you kind of along the way to get to this kind of mindset?
Just read some books, hey. Listen to a couple podcasts. Yeah, like straight up, just hearing what other people do, listening to podcasts. I had this sick book that I read before Rampage, Katie Winton recommended, and it kind of just like had a bunch of mental processes to use to like it was more about like keeping yourself in check. Like if you kind of wrote down your goals and you had everything written down that you needed to do to achieve that, and you read that to yourself daily, then obviously it's not the reading it daily that makes it happen. It's reading it daily that reminds you constantly what you need to do, and then you go do it. So I was doing that.
What's the book called?
With winning in mind. It's a sick book. Yeah, it just like kind of breaks down those processes, and also some like manifestation stuff. Like every single day for like the month before Rampage, I like wrote down I am the winner of Rampage, and just like sounds crazy, but it worked. So it's kind of hectic though. It's intense. Like I don't think I'll be doing that before every event of the season.
But kind of cool that you like went out and tried it and did it, and then kind of saw the success of it too.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about kind of what do you think kicked off your personal kind of pretty fast progression in mountain biking?
Yeah. So it was, yeah, I was definitely like 2021, I believe. I think it was the start of 2021. We did Future Ground. That was like definitely the start of like me being like, oh, we're free riding. This is legit. Before that, I was still like, I think it was 2020. I was like frothing mountain biking, and I was like, I was kind of like inspired that year, and I was like, I think I'm going after this next year. So I was starting to build in 2020 and like try get a bunch of races. I was doing enduros and downhill in New Zealand. So I like started to get more involved in the whole New Zealand scene. And then 2021, we got invited to Formation, and I was like a racer, but I really enjoyed doing tricks and jumps and all of that, but just didn't know how to like get into it. It seemed like a really small community and like hard to be involved in until Future Ground. And then it was like that opened my eyes at least to like being more involved in Freeride. And then it was like a direction change, actually. It was like I was about to go after it any way I could, and that was racing. And then from Future Ground was like, nah, we're free riding.
Like moving towards the future is probably pretty tough to think about after you've had like the most successful, sickest season you can kind of imagine. But like, I don't know, I was looking at your vlogs, sick. I mean, it looks like you kind of had plans for the future. So like maybe you can give us a little bit of insight of like what are you planning for next season and beyond that? Like, do you have any goals? Like, how do you want to shape the rest of your mountain biking life, I guess?
Heavy question.
We're going deep.
Yeah. I guess there's so much I still want to do. Like, results wise, having a Rampage win is like a dream, like a life goal of mine. So to already have that is sick, but it does, you don't just stop with that. Like, you're not like, sweet, boxes ticked, I'm done. Like, no chance. So I feel like I'm actually just getting started now. It's like that's kind of set me up now, and I have way more freedom to do what I want to do in the sport. And like, I just started building the training compound, and for me, one of the things I love the most and like what makes me so stoked on biking is like progression. So the results are sick, keeps the sponsors happy, you know, like I get stoked with like a win, but for me it's more important to like if I've done good riding or like if I've learned a new trick at an event and I do it in a comp, I get so fired up. So going forward, I want to work on like my riding, growing my bag of tricks, and just like I think going into 2025 at least I've kind of set my goals more about personal progression and like my riding than trying to win. I want to just be better rather than have loads of number ones.
Sick. What's the plan with the training compound? Gives the deets, what's it called? Is there a tagline? What are the plans there?
It's pretty loose. I actually looked at a bit of land before Rampage and I was like, this is sick. I really want it. I just couldn't like pull it off logistically. And then we had to leave for Rampage. And I was like, if it's still there when I get back, it's meant to be. And it was. So we jumped on that property. And basically from the first time I walked around, there's like some rolling hills and things. And I was just like sick. Like that hill is going to be a rolling. You could put some jumps here. Like I could already see what I wanted to do. So basically, as soon as we had it, we hired a digger, moved a bunch of dirt. I've got a flat bag, so I can learn tricks on the flat bag, and then I've got a landing bag as well. So learn it there, take it to the lander, and then I've built identical ramps for those setups, and then I built a dirt jump as well. So you can hopefully just take it from like bag to dirt to comp is the goal. We called it the coup. It's in Mamaku in Rotorua, so we just shortened it to the coup, and it's getting loosely vlogged. It's a bit of a passion project, I guess. a bit rough.
It's sick though. Yeah, love it. So general questions done. What's the deal with Barbie, and why did you want to have a Barbie inspired head to toe get up?
Yeah, I don't know where to start with this. When I was a kid, I'm like just such a tomboy. And when I was a kid, actually, my first bike was a Barbie bike and I hated it. I was like, I don't want to ride this. I think my dad painted it red because I was like, this is dumb. But then the movie came out and it just had like a way different twist to like how you'd see Barbie or like think of her. And she was like this bad bitch, had good energy. And I just felt like it was like kind of turned around. I was like, actually, this is sick. Love this vibe. Would be cool to do a bike and kit and just like theme it off this. It was like kind of started off as a piss take because obviously like I'm wearing pink today actually. Got the leaning into it now, but not really like a pink girl. But just thought it would be a fun thing to do, like have this full Barbie kit and just for all the bad bitches out there that are riding bikes. And we had this chance to go to Rampage and it just felt like the right event where it's like, you know, it's been 20 years of dudes riding Rampage and like women have been fighting to get there for so long and not really being given the opportunity. So it was like a bit of not a protest because we were there, but just like a year the fucking girls that were here.
Statement.
Yeah.
Made a statement. Super rad, and I think you probably inspired a few people to just go out there and just be themselves and do things a bit different, which is kind of what life's all about, man. Anyway, we're going to go to the plug part of the interview because the way to win the jersey is to go to monsroyale.com and sign up to win a replica of Robin's jersey. But I got to get you to say it.
Okay, that sounds sick. There's been heaps of interest, so yeah, we just gotta get it out there. You can win a Barbie
inspired jersey.
All right, safe. Okay, you can win my Barbie inspired replica jersey. Fuck. Why is this so hard to say? You can win my Rampage Barbie inspired replica jersey at monsroyale.com. Sign up, get the jersey. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's it. We love it. How would you end your podcast?
Thank you for listening. See you in the future. Oh, thanks for spinning yarns.
Anything you want to add? There's other kids out there wanting to get into it. Any words of wisdom?
Nah, probably just sorry for all the swear words.